It's like I literally use this thing to make notes at this point, and it kind of sucks. I'm trying to go to the hospital, and I'm gonna have to recharge. I don't know if you can hear me. I was just at the coffee house where I freak out on how conservative people are, and the one guy who told me that he thought it was sweet when I said it was violently ill is over there chirping about drinking his first beer, and he's going to wait until pot is legal because medical marijuana isn't enough for him, and he was in a Black Keys cover band, and he's talking very gay words usually, so it's very strange. I have to accept that people are from some weird conservative, obscure, obtuse kind of vapid. I like the word obtuse. It means kind of at an angle, obtuse angle. I'm an alien on planet Earth, and I don't get anyone and no one gets me, and that's because they're all creepy and I'm normal. If you consider normal to be a 1974 hippie who's 12 years old and very enlightened. Bad news from the paper. Ready? Let's run through it quick. It turns out that when Target ceded their pharmacy business to CVS, the price of a certain amount of Viagra, the normal amount for a normal guy who's paying cash, went from $45 to between $500 and $1,000. They forgot to institute the gift card, which brings it down to between $45 and even $25. So the range, if you don't have the gift card, is from $25 to $1,000. I have a stand-up routine about how these people, the doctors and the pharmacies, but the doctors, are drug dealers. The problem with that is an insult to most of the drug dealers I've ever known in my entire life, because they were honest businessmen and needed to be, because they were running their business and wanted to keep their customers and weren't insane. Also, on Dead Tour, when we did it in favor of the kids, which is the poor hippies, and taxing the custies, which is the people that were making us risk our lives committing felonies while they acted like it was one big party. So, sorry about the insult to all the drug dealers I've ever known by comparing you to CVS and Walmart, who charge $1,000 for something that, when you bring in the right Open Sesame card, costs $25. So it turns out our democracy is dead. The reason why the superdelegates aren't going to vote for Bernie is because it turns out that in the 80s they changed the system from democracy to improving the brand so that we didn't lose another election like we lost the one with Carter, apparently. Well, Carter was a douche and you're all douche, and this is why we now live in a fascist corporatocracy. And the Bernie Sanders people aren't helping, because up until recently, instead of courting the superdelegates, they were sending them threatening emails for being fascist pigs. And there's a guy from Philly, Ed Rendell. You know, we have very long memories, and up until recently you were threatening us, and now you're courting us, and it's like we don't remember. One of them said it best when she or he said, one of the superdelegates said, Clinton is already the delegate. Well, excuse me, but there's still a nominating process going on, and America was a great country until dipshits got a hold of it, because democracy apparently is a notion which is vulnerable to the will of the masses, and when the masses are dipshits, and when we don't have an education system, and when America is run by corporations, and when everyone says that sounds like a great idea because we want to be winners and rich, then our democracy goes by the wayside and we don't have one anymore. And no one even notices that this person from the Brookings institution says, and she studied this, she's from Harvard, and a superdelegate, that they're protecting the brand, which means electability, which is different than democracy. She told us this. She told us our democracy's dead and no one listened. It's in the paper. No one gives a shit. There was another article along those lines that I really wanted to reference, but I can't remember. Oh, Uber. The minute I heard Uber, I was like, this is not good. Uber apparently has worked this thing where they now, through the miracle of computer programs, have made employees that are not employees. For purposes of we get to tell you what to do, fire you, all this stuff, they're employees. For purposes of benefits and all this other stuff, they're not employees, and they get a class action lawsuit, which means 12 cents a person. Maximum $800 if you drove maximum hours for Uber. So this is why people like Dr. Drew are elitist pigs who say, my kids drive for Uber. Which what he's really saying is, it's a job for high school kids. They don't need benefits. They make like $10 an hour, according to my buddy Rich, and get fired in a slightly less horrible way now. But Uber basically won because they are not considered employees. I would like to mention that the minute I heard the word Uber, it occurred to me that the word Uber in my thought reference bank is the word Übermensch, which is a word co-opted from Nietzsche, which means a very creative individual, by Hitler to mean an evil Nazi Superman son of a bitch. This is why these people did this. This is how these people did this. This is why they named it Uber. Because it's an elitist pig bunch of shit that rips off workers' rights and lowers the rates of taxi drivers 30% in LA while not declaring them employees and giving them health benefits and limited bargaining benefits. See, this is what Hitler did. He said, you're in workers' unions now, which means I'm lowering your wages, but you get to have parties and sing songs saying, let's kill the Jews. This is what he did. This is why it's called Uber. It's great, isn't it? This was a great country until people with computer programs figured out ways to split hairs on who is and is not a worker. Isn't that just wonderful? So let's tally up the results. Our democracy's dead. This lady from the Brookings Institution, whose name I can get you if you want it, told us this and no one listened. She said, instead of democracy, we have capitalism now, which is called fascism because the corporations run us and they're protecting their brand, which is electability, which is basically Hillary Clinton is a corporation's tool and knows it and is backpedaling for having been that and trying to act like she's not in the era of younger people that democratically would elect Sanders, but that won't happen because he won't be the candidate. The price of Viagra ranges from $25 to $1,000 depending on if you have a special card. And like I said, I want to restate this. Uber is using cleverly designed programs to deconstruct who and who is not a worker and hiring lawyers to protect their $63 billion business. Beep is right, motherfucker. Beep, beep. Can I get a whoop, whoop? Can I get an amen? Can I get a... You know, Uber means Übermensch. We are over you. We want you to service. We want you to come and pick us up. We want you to do it like we want. We have dress codes. We have procedures. We set the wages. But you're not employees and you can go fuck yourself. Here's $800 a person maximum for the class action lawsuit. And we love the lawyers. Yay for lawyers. We like lawyers. They deconstruct what was a really good country called America and put into place Medica. 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 We'll go to Medica, which is a corporatocracy. And lastly, is the Pope Catholic? No, really, I'm asking, is the Pope Catholic? You remember back in the day when they would say, you know, does a bear shit in the woods? Is the Pope Catholic? Well, let's see. The Pope's standing up for gay rights. The Pope is standing up for financial transparency. The Pope even stopped them from stigmatizing a guy who released information about the financial stuff because he was gay. The Pope went to the Isle of Lesbos, famous for, you know, lesbians, and took some Syrian refugees with him to the Vatican to live as a gesture of, hey, you should all grow up and be nice to people that are about to die, world. And so what I want to know is the Pope Catholic? Because as far as I know what Catholicism is, you would have a better chance of finding the Pope shitting in the woods than you would of the Pope being the Catholic that I knew to be Catholic when I was a kid, and the neighbors were getting molested by priests, and they were the most conservative douches on the planet. Up until recently when they became a pedophilia ring whose leader was defending them. And other than being a little bit, I would like him to be a little bit more, you know, assertive on that whole thing. But as far as I know, the Pope not only isn't Catholic, the Pope is a progressive. Don't let it out. Don't tell the Catholics, because they don't want to know. They like it like this. They like it like... The Syrian lady said, the Pope is a father to us all. These are Muslims. The Pope is a father to the world and has shown us this mercy. And now maybe the rest of the world, hint, hint, Muslims, will listen and take notice and follow his lead. So maybe, yes, the Pope is Catholic, but we're going to have to redefine what that is, because from what I knew what it was, I don't think he shits in the woods either, just so you know. I wasn't serious about that. The Pope just, I don't want to release. We here at JonTV1 are, if nothing, honest and forthright. Oh, I have a reportage error too. Are we still rolling? Oh, we should stop and then we'll... Quick, Don Trump's net worth is about 375, not billion, million? Billion? Can't be. Oh, 3.75 billion, but not 8 billion, which is what he was bragging. Are we done? So there you go. I was wrong. He inherited from his dad and got a loan for 70 million. He inherited 200 million. You think he could do that if you got and all of his connections, you know? Yeah, okay. Went bankrupt 4 times, you know.